The first Tuesday of the month was always library day. I would gather the books due. Back. I would place them in my canvas tote. Then I would walk the 7 blocks. I liked the routine. I liked the sound of the old building's doors. I liked the smell of paper and polish. It was a small, predictable pleasure. My life was full of them. That Tuesday was like any other. The sun was pale but warm. I returned my mysteries. I browsed the new arrivals. I selected 3 novels. I checked them out with my card. Mrs. Jensen at the desk smiled. She asked about my geraniums. I told her they were coming along. It was a 2-minute conversation. It was pleasant. Then I walked home. I saw his car in my driveway. A sleek silver sedan. It was cleaner than anything on my street. My brother, Marcus, was leaning against it. He wore a charcoal suit. He looked like a magazine ad. I felt a familiar, faint anxiety. It was the same feeling I got before a dentist appointment. Not fear. Just a low hum of unease. "Claire," he said. He smiled. It was his professional smile. Warm but measured. I was in the neighborhood. He never was. His neighborhood was 40 minutes away. It was full of houses twice the size of mine. "I thought I'd check on you." "I'm fine, Marcus." I shifted my tote bag. "Just back from the library." "Of course you are." He nodded toward my front door. "Can I come in? I have some good news." I led him inside. The house was quiet. It was always quiet since Arthur passed. I put the kettle on. Marcus sat at the kitchen table. He looked out of place. His suit was too sharp for my faded linoleum. He placed a folder on the table. It was crisp and beige. "Tea's fine," he said. He didn't really want tea. He wanted a prop. Something to make this feel casual. "How have you been, really? Sleeping okay? The house isn't too much." "It's my home, Marcus. I manage." The kettle whistled. I poured the water. "What's your news?" He opened the folder. "It's about the house, actually. And your future. I've been talking to a financial advisor. A colleague of mine. He's brilliant." He slid a brochure toward me. It had a picture of a smiling silver-haired couple on a beach. "With the market the way it is. And interest rates. Arthur's pension can only stretch so far. This house is a big part of your net worth. But it's a liquid. It's also a lot of upkeep for you." I stirred my tea. "I like the upkeep. It gives me something to do." "I know you do. But what if you didn't have to?" His voice was gentle. It was his explaining something complicated voice. "What if you could free up that capital? You could invest it. Generate a steady, reliable income. You could even rent a lovely little apartment. Something modern. No yard work. No worries about the old plumbing. No property taxes eating away at you." I looked at the brochure. The couple looked very happy. "This is my home, Marcus. Arthur and I bought it. We raised Sarah here. I'm not moving to an apartment. I'm not suggesting you move tomorrow." He patted my hand. His hand was smooth. Mine was lined. "I'm just asking you to think. To be open. This is about security, Claire. Peace of mind. For me and for Sarah. We worry about you here alone. This is a big old house. Anything could happen." That was the first time. The first mention of worry as a tool. It was so soft. So reasonable. How could I argue with their concern? They loved me. They wanted me safe. That's what he said. "Let's just look at some numbers," he said. "No pressure. Just information." He took out a spreadsheet. It was full of columns and projections. It showed my current finances. It showed a steep decline in 5 years. It showed a comfortable rise if I sold. The numbers were authoritative. They seemed to speak a truth I couldn't. "I'll think about it," I said. It was easier than saying no. Easier than seeing his smile tighten. "That's all I ask." He closed the folder. He finished his tea. He stood. "I'll call you next week. We can talk more." He kissed my cheek. He smelled of citrus and sandalwood. Then he was gone. I cleared the cups. I looked at the brochure on the table. The smiling couple. I put it in the recycling bin. But the spreadsheet stayed in my mind. The numbers were like a faint, persistent noise. A hum I couldn't quite silence. The next week, he called. He didn't mention the house. He asked if I needed help with my taxes. Arthur had always done them. I had been using a service. But Marcus insisted. "Let me handle it, Claire. It's what family is for. I'll get you a much better return. That service is ripping you off." His tone was confident. It left no room for doubt. I agreed. It seemed like a kindness. He came over the following Saturday. He collected all my documents. Bank statements. Investment accounts. Arthur's old pension paperwork. He put them in his expensive briefcase. "I'll have this sorted in no time," he said. "You won't have to lift a finger." A month later, He told me he'd found discrepancies. Small errors, he said. But they add up. I've taken the liberty of consolidating a few things. To simplify it for you, he had opened a new joint checking account for us. For bill pay, he explained. I can make sure everything is timely. You won't miss a thing. He had also linked my investment account to his online portal. So I can monitor it. Make adjustments if needed. The market is volatile. Each step was logical. Each step was framed as relief. A burden lifted. He was the successful brother. The vice president at a wealth management firm. He knew about money. I was the retired librarian. The widow. I knew about books. It made sense for him to help. Then came the first real change. My daughter Sarah called. She was living abroad, teaching English. She sounded excited. Mom, I'm getting married. My heart swelled. I was so happy for her. That's wonderful, darling. Tell me everything. She told me about Liam. She told me about the small ceremony they planned. In Ireland, where he was from. It's going to be very small, Mom. Just immediate family. Maybe 15 people. We want it to be intimate. I wouldn't miss it for the world, I said. When is it? 6 months from now. Start saving your pennies. Flights aren't cheap. She laughed. I laughed with her. I already had a savings fund. A little jar of money I'd been setting aside. For a trip, or an emergency. This was the perfect use. The next day, Marcus called. Sarah told me the news, he said. Thrilling. Listen, Claire. I've been looking at flights and hotels for you. It's a fortune. And that little B&B she picked is rustic. I don't think it's suitable for you. The bathrooms are shared. The stairs are steep. I'm sure it's fine, Marcus. I don't need luxury. It's not about luxury. It's about accessibility. Your knees, Claire. I had mentioned my knees aching once. It was now a permanent fact in his ledger. And the flight is 10 hours. The layover is chaotic. I'm just worried. This is a lot for you. A cold thread began to weave through me. What are you saying, Marcus? I'm saying maybe this isn't the trip for you. Sarah will understand. She's young. She's not thinking about your comfort. She's thinking about her dream wedding. He paused. I had a better idea. What if we hosted a beautiful reception for them here? After they return. At the country club. We could invite all your friends. All our family. Sarah could wear her dress again. You could be there, comfortable, in a lovely setting. It would be safer. And honestly, Claire, more dignified. I was silent. The cold thread tightened. Talk to Sarah, he said gently. See what she thinks. I've already mentioned the idea to her. She thought it was very generous. He had already called her. He had already planted the seed. Think about it. No pressure. It's your decision. I called Sarah that evening. Her excitement was muted. Uncle Marcus made some good points, Mom. The travel is intense. And we're on a tight budget here. A reception at the club back home would be beautiful. Everyone who can't come to Ireland could be there. Including Grandma Ellen. My mother. Who was 92 and in assisted living. Maybe it's more practical, Sarah said. Her voice held a faint note of doubt. But it was swayed by the logic. By the generosity. Do you want me there, Sarah? At your actual wedding? My voice was quieter than I intended. Of course I do, Mom. More than anything. But I also want you to be okay. I don't want you to be uncomfortable or stressed. This is supposed to be happy. Her concern was real. It had been shaped by Marcus. He had turned my presence into a potential problem. A stressor. A risk. I felt erased. Not with a shout, but with a whisper. With practical, loving concern. Let me think about it, sweetheart. Okay, Mom. I love you. We hung up. I sat in my quiet living room. I looked at the pictures on the mantel. Sarah as a girl. Arthur smiling. Our family. The reality of it felt thin. Like paper. Marcus's plan moved forward. He booked the country club. He sent me menus to choose from. He never asked if I agreed. He just assumed. The narrative was set. Claire couldn't handle the trip. Marcus was stepping up. Throwing a lovely party. Being the good brother. The good uncle. I did not go to Ireland. I saw the pictures on Sarah's social media. She looked radiant. Liam looked kind. There were 15 people in a green field. I was not in the picture. I was home. Marcus called it the sensible choice. I began to hate that phrase. After the wedding, the pace changed. Marcus visited more often. He brought a man with him one day. This is David Clare. He's a home safety consultant. David walked through my house. He took notes on a tablet. He pointed out things. The lack of grab bars in my shower. The throw rugs that could slip. The stairs to the second floor. Hazardous, he said. For someone living alone. Marcus looked at me with sympathy. See, it's what I was talking about. This house isn't adapted for aging in place. The modifications would be very costly. He had the report emailed to me. He also sent it to Sarah. For her peace of mind, he said. Sarah called worried. Mom, that report sounds scary. Maybe Uncle Marcus is right. Maybe you should consider a move. A senior community. They have activities. You'd have people around. I have people around, I said. I have my book club. I have my neighbors. But not at night. Not if you fell. Her fear was palpable. It was a gift from Marcus. A gift that felt like a leash. I started to notice other things. Small things. My mail seemed to arrive later. Sometimes envelopes looked faintly rumpled. I mentioned it to Marcus. He chuckled. The postal service, Claire. It's not what it was. If you're worried, I can have your important mail sent to my office. For security. I declined. But the feeling remained. Then came the conversation about the car. My 10-year-old sedan was perfectly fine. I drove to the library. I drove to the grocery store. That was all. Marcus insisted on taking it for service. He brought it back. The mechanic said it's not safe, Claire. The brakes are worn. The tires are borderline. The repair bill would be more than the car's worth. He shook his head. I can't, in good conscience, let you drive it. He had already arranged for a used car dealership to pick it up. They're giving you a fair price. We can put that toward a new, safer vehicle. I'll drive you until we find one. He drove me. He controlled when I could go out. He was always just about to close a deal on a car for me. But something always fell through. The color was wrong. The mileage was high. The price wasn't right. Weeks passed. I was dependent on him for groceries. For library trips. He was always willing. But I had to ask. I had to fit into his schedule. My independence was being disassembled. Piece by piece. With a smile. The biggest piece came on a rainy Thursday. Marcus arrived with 2 copies of a document. It was a durable power of attorney. It's standard, Claire. For everyone my age, really. It just means if you're ever in the hospital or incapacitated, I can act for you. Pay your bills. Talk to your doctors. It avoids a big, stressful legal mess. He pointed to the signature lines. Sarah is the alternate. It's just a safety net. A formality. I looked at the dense legal text. The words swam on the page. Should I have a lawyer look at this? His face fell. Just slightly. It was a masterpiece of wounded concern. A lawyer? Claire, I am your family. I've been managing your affairs for months. Flawlessly. Your bills are paid. Your taxes are done. Your savings are growing. Bringing in a stranger. It would just be a waste of your money. And it would hurt me, to be honest. It would feel like you don't trust me. He placed a hand over his heart. After all I've done. The guilt was immediate. And heavy. He was right. He had done so much. He had taken on my burdens. And here I was questioning him. Being difficult. That was the phrase he used next. I know this is hard. Letting go of control. But at a certain age, it's wise to delegate. To let people who love you help. Don't make this difficult, Claire. It's a simple piece of paper. For your own good. I signed. My pen scratched on the paper. It sounded very loud in the quiet kitchen. He signed as a witness. He notarized it with a stamp from his briefcase. He smiled. A real warm smile. There. Now we can both relax. He took 1 copy. He left the other with me. File that somewhere safe. He hugged me. He felt solid. Confident. I felt very small. That night, I couldn't sleep. I got up. I went to my little desk. I opened the file where I kept important papers. My will. Arthur's death certificate. The deed to the house. I took out the power of attorney. I read it under the lamplight. It was not a limited POA. It was not for healthcare only. It was a comprehensive, durable financial power of attorney. It gave Marcus control over everything. Bank accounts. Investments. Real estate. The authority to make gifts. To himself. The wording was clear. And absolute. My hands were steady. I felt a strange calm. This was not a misunderstanding. This was a strategy. A quiet, legal strategy. I made a cup of tea. I sat at the kitchen table. I thought about the last 8 months. The offered help. The seeded doubts. The manufactured concerns. The isolation. The erosion. It was a campaign. And I had been a willing participant. Out of politeness. Out of guilt. Out of a lifetime of seeing him as my successful, capable younger brother. I did not cry. I did not get angry. Anger was a flame. It would burn out. I needed something colder. I needed clarity. The next morning I began. I went to the library. But not for books. I used the public computer. I created a new email address. One Marcus did not know. I used a password I had never used before. I wrote down nothing. I memorized it. I went to a different branch of my bank. The one downtown. I asked for printed statements for all my accounts. For the past 2 years. The teller gave me a curious look. But she printed them. They were thick. I took them home. I did not look at them yet. I called the county recorder's office. I asked how to get a copy of my deed. They told me I could request it online. I used the library computer again. I paid the fee. I had it sent to a P.O. box I rented that afternoon. In the next town over. I bought a simple notebook, a hardcover with blank pages. On the first page, I wrote the date. I wrote one sentence. Today I understood the war. Then I began to document. I started from the beginning. The first Tuesday visit. The brochure. The tax help. The joint account. The wedding. The home safety report. The car. Each event. Each conversation I could recall. I noted dates. I noted his exact words when I could remember them. I noted my feelings. But I stuck to facts. I did not confront him. I behaved exactly as before. Grateful. A little confused. Slightly frail. When he offered to take me shopping, I accepted. When he suggested a meal delivery service, I said it sounded helpful. I let him believe his narrative was intact. I was Claire, the older sister, the widow, the burden, the easy mark. Meanwhile, I built my own case. Page by page, document by document. I discovered things. Small transfers from my investment account. Moved to the joint checking account. Then, a week later, a check written from that joint account to a company called Sterling Consulting. The amounts were not huge. $500. $1,000. But they were regular. They were for financial advisory services. Services I never requested. Never approved. I found the bill of sale for my car. He had sold it for $4,000. The money was deposited into the joint account. 2 days later, $2,000 was transferred out to his consulting company for vehicle procurement facilitation. No car had ever been procured. I went to the P.O. box. My deed arrived. I studied it. My name was on it. And Arthur's. Joint tenants with right of survivorship. When he died, it became mine. Solely mine. It was the most important fact. It was the hill everything was built on. He needed me off that hill. I needed a lawyer. But not just any lawyer. I couldn't walk into a firm in our small city. Marcus knew everyone. He golfed with attorneys. He had clients who were judges. My inquiry would get back to him. It would trigger the next phase of his plan. Whatever that was. I used the library computer again. I searched for elder law attorneys. In the state capital. 2 hours away. I made a list. I called 3 from a payphone. It felt like a spy novel. But it was just my life. The third lawyer listened. Her name was Anya Petrova. She had a calm, steady voice. What you're describing is financial exploitation. It is a pattern. The power of attorney is the key tool. We need to revoke it. Immediately. And formally. She agreed to see me. She gave me instructions. Bring everything. Do not tell anyone you are coming. I told Marcus I was spending the day with an old friend from my library days. We were going to a garden show. He seemed pleased. That's wonderful, Claire. Getting out. Socializing. He didn't offer to drive me. My fictional friend was. It was perfect. Anya Petrova's office was modern and quiet. She was in her 50s. She had sharp eyes and a kind face. I laid out my notebook. My bank statements. The POA. The deed. The car bill of sale. She read in silence for a long time. She took notes. This is a classic case, she said finally. But meticulously executed. Your brother is patient. He's building a paper trail. To show you as incapable. To show his management as necessary. The next step would likely be a petition for guardianship. Or conservatorship. He would use his POA to liquidate your assets first. Then claim you are unable to manage them. The court would look at his evidence. The safety report. The fact he pays your bills. Your daughter's concerned calls. They might grant it. Then you would lose all legal autonomy. The room felt very still. What do I do? First, we revoke the power of attorney. Today, we will notarize it here. We will send copies by certified mail to every financial institution. To the county recorder. To him. We will file it with the probate court. It creates a legal record. It puts them on notice. Second, we freeze the joint account. We remove his name. We regain sole control of your investment account. Third, we send a cease and desist letter to him, demanding an accounting for every dollar he has taken, every action he has taken under the POA. She leaned forward. He will not like this. He will push back. He will likely escalate. He may contact your daughter. He may involve other family. He will paint you as confused, as being influenced by a greedy lawyer. Are you prepared for that? I looked at my hands. They were folded in my lap. They were not shaking. Yes, I said. I am prepared. Good. She handed me a form. It was a revocation of power of attorney. I signed it. Her assistant notarized it. The stamp was final. It felt like the first real breath I had taken in a year. We spent 2 hours composing letters. Anya dictated. I confirmed facts. The letters were dry. Legal. They cited statutes. They gave deadlines. They contained no emotion. No accusation. Just procedure. That was the weapon. Not my anger. But the law's slow, grinding machinery. I left her office with a list of tasks. A feeling of purpose. I drove the 2 hours home. The sky was darkening. I felt a strange peace. The war was no longer quiet on my side, but it was still dignified. It was fought with paper and ink, not shouts. The following days were a blur of administrative action. I went to my bank with the revocation letter. The manager was summoned. He was uncomfortable, but the document was clear. Marcus's name was removed from the account. New cards were issued. Online banking was reset with new credentials. I did the same at the investment firm. It required a phone call with Anya on speaker to verify, but it was done. The certified letters went out. I mailed them myself. I kept the receipts. I bought a small fireproof lockbox. I put all the originals in it. I hid it in the back of my closet, under a blanket. The reaction came 4 days later. My phone rang early. It was Marcus. His voice was not gentle. It was sharp. Claire, what is this? I just got a letter from some lawyer. What are you doing? I'm managing my affairs, Marcus. As you suggested, I wasn't able to do. This is absurd. You've been tricked. This Petrova woman. She's after your money. She's filled your head with nonsense. You're not thinking clearly. I am thinking more clearly than I have in a long time. A pause. I could hear him breathing, controlling his anger. I'm coming over. We need to talk about this. Without lawyers. No, Marcus. Do not come to my house. Any further communication about my finances should go through Ms. Petrova. I repeated the line she had given me. It felt like armor. You're destroying this family, Claire. After all I've done for you. This is how you repay me? With lawsuits and accusations. His tone shifted to wounded. I'm heartbroken. Then it shifted back to hard. You leave me no choice. I have to protect you. Even from yourself. He hung up. I put the phone down. My heart was beating fast. But my mind was clear. The threat was now explicit. Anya called an hour later. He's retained counsel. A lawyer named Robert Gaines. He's known for aggressive litigation. They've sent a counter letter. They are refusing to provide an accounting. They are claiming you lack capacity. They are alleging undue influence by me. And they are preparing a petition for temporary guardianship. She paused. They are moving faster than I anticipated. He's scared. What does guardianship mean? It means a judge could appoint him, temporarily, as your guardian. If they convince the court you are an imminent danger to yourself or your finances. It's an emergency measure. He would control everything again. While we fought it out, it could take months. A year. How do we stop it? We get to the court first. With a different petition. We petition to appoint a neutral third party. A professional fiduciary. To review everything. To do a true accounting. We ask the court to freeze all assets pending the review. We show your documents. We show the pattern. We make it a question of fact. Not a question of your mental state. Her voice was focused. It's risky. We are asking a judge to intervene in a family dispute. But it's our best move. Are you willing? You will have to be evaluated. By a court-appointed psychologist. Your life will be picked apart. It's already been picked apart, I said. Let's do it. The next 2 weeks were a deep dive into legal process. Anya filed the petition. It was a thick document. My affidavit was part of it. A simple, factual statement of events. My notebook entries were exhibits. The bank statements were exhibits. The safety report was an exhibit. The wedding emails were exhibits. It told a story without drama. A story of slow, systematic control. Marcus's lawyer filed a response. It was furious. It painted me as a recluse. As financially naive. As increasingly forgetful. It cited Sarah's concerns. It cited the home safety report. It cited my isolation. It claimed Marcus had only ever acted out of love. It claimed I was being manipulated by an ambulance-chasing lawyer. It requested the emergency guardianship. To protect me. A hearing was set. In 3 weeks. To decide on the temporary orders. Anya prepared me. The judge will ask you questions. Answer simply. Yes or no when you can. If you need to explain, be brief. Stick to the facts. Do not get emotional. Do not call him names. The calmest person in the room wins. The night before the hearing, Sarah called. She was crying. Mom, what is happening? Uncle Marcus says you're suing him. He says a lawyer has you convinced he's stealing from you. He's devastated. He says you might lose the house over legal fees. Is it true? I took a slow breath. Sarah, listen to me. I am not confused. I have all my faculties. I hired a lawyer because I discovered Marcus has been taking money from me. For months. Under the guise of helping. He did not want me at your wedding. He has been trying to get me to sell this house. To move into a place he controls. I have proof. Page after page of proof. Silence on the line. Then a shaky breath. He showed me a letter from a doctor. Suggesting a cognitive assessment. He said you've been forgetting things. Missing appointments. I have missed no appointments. The only things I have forgotten are the things he has told me I've forgotten. My voice was steady. I love you, Sarah. I need you to trust me. Just for now. Ask him one question. Ask him to show you the full accounting of my money. From the day he started helping. If he has nothing to hide, he'll show you. I gave her Anya's email. You can send any questions to my lawyer. She can show you the evidence. I don't know what to believe, she whispered. Believe the paper, Sarah. Believe the numbers. They don't lie. We hung up. I felt a profound ache. My daughter was in the middle. A pawn he had positioned perfectly. But I had given her a path out. A path made of facts. The courthouse was imposing. Marble floors. High ceilings. A hushed atmosphere. Marcus was there with his lawyer. Robert Gaines was a tall man with a loud tie. He looked bored and confident. Marcus looked at me. His expression was one of profound sadness. He shook his head slowly, as if mourning me. I looked away. I sat beside Anya. She placed a hand briefly on my arm. Ready? The judge entered. She was a middle-aged woman with a no-nonsense demeanor. She reviewed the file. She listened to Gaines first. He spoke of familial duty, of a brother's sacrifice, of an elderly sister's decline. He used words like vulnerable and susceptible. He mentioned the safety report. He mentioned the car. He mentioned the wedding. He painted a picture of a life spiraling into incompetence, saved only by a devoted brother, now threatened by an opportunistic attorney. Then Anya spoke. Her voice was lower, calmer. Your Honor, this is not a case of decline. It is a case of design. She outlined the timeline. She presented the financial exhibits. She showed the transfers, the checks to his own company, the sale of the car, the DPOA obtained under misleading pretenses. This is a pattern of financial exploitation. My client is of sound mind. She is here today. She can answer your questions. She revoked the DPOA the moment she understood its scope. She seeks only a neutral review, to ascertain the truth. Her brother opposes that review. One has to ask why. The judge looked at me. Ms. Sterling, can you tell me why you are petitioning the court today? I folded my hands. I looked at her. To know the truth, Your Honor. To have an impartial person look at the numbers. To have my accounts explained. If my brother has done nothing wrong, he should welcome that. I simply want to understand where my money has gone. My voice did not shake. Gaines stood. Your Honor, this is precisely the kind of paranoid thinking we're concerned about. A sudden distrust of a loving family member. The judge held up a hand. She looked at the documents again. She looked at Marcus. Mr. Sterling, you oppose the appointment of a neutral fiduciary. Why? Marcus stood. He looked earnest. Your Honor, my sister is my only family. Aside from her daughter. This process is adversarial. It will destroy our relationship. I believe we can resolve this privately. As a family. His voice was perfect. A blend of reason and regret. Yet you have not provided the accounting her attorney requested, the judge said. A simple list of transactions. Why is that? The scope was overly broad. It was harassing. Gaines started. It is a standard request when a fiduciary relationship is questioned, the judge interrupted. She looked back at her file. She was silent for a full minute. The only sound was the rustling of paper. I am not convinced of an emergency requiring guardianship, she said finally. Ms. Sterling appears coherent. She has counsel. However, the financial discrepancies alleged are serious. She looked at both lawyers. I am appointing a professional fiduciary. Mr. David Chun. He is experienced. He will have full access to all financial records for both parties. For the last 3 years, he will conduct a full forensic accounting. He will report back to this court in 60 days. All assets of Claire Sterling are frozen for any non-essential disbursement pending his report. No property may be sold. No accounts liquidated. Is that clear? Gaines began to object. The judge stopped him. This is the order. It protects everyone's interests while we find the facts. She banged her gavel. The sound was small and final. Outside the courtroom, Marcus approached me. Anya stepped between us. This isn't over, Claire, he said. His voice was low. The sadness was gone, replaced by a cold fury. You have no idea what you've started. I think I do, Marcus, I said. I turned. Anya and I walked away. I did not look back. The wait began. David Chun was a quiet, meticulous man. He scheduled a meeting with me. He asked straightforward questions. He took possession of all my documents. He requested the same from Marcus. Weeks passed. The silence from my brother was absolute. Sarah called. She was quieter. I asked him for the accounting, Mom. He got very defensive. He said it was all legal fees now. Because of the fight you started. She paused. I asked to see the bills. He hasn't sent them. A crack in her faith. A small one. But it was there. Chen's report arrived at Anya's office on day 59. It was 60 pages long. She summarized it for me over the phone. It's conclusive, Claire. He took $87,000 over 16 months. Under the guise of fees and services. All unauthorized. The car sale proceeds. Half went to him. The regular transfers. He also paid his country club dues from your joint account twice. He booked a family vacation deposit. On your card. Her voice was flat. The report also notes his obstruction. He provided incomplete records. He redacted large portions. Mr. Chen's opinion is that the full amount may be 20% higher, but he can only attest to what he can trace. She paused. It's enough. More than enough. The final hearing was short. Marcus did not attend. His lawyer stood. He had little to say. The report was entered into evidence. The judge read the summary. Her face showed no emotion, but her words were crisp. The court finds that Marcus Sterling breached his fiduciary duty in a profound and systematic way. The power of attorney is permanently revoked and voided. He is ordered to repay the full traceable amount, $87,000 for $112, plus interest, within 30 days. Furthermore, the court issues a permanent restraining order. He is to have no contact with Claire Sterling. He is to have no involvement in her financial or personal affairs. He is prohibited from attempting to initiate any guardianship proceedings in the future. She looked at Gaines. If payment is not made, we will proceed with contempt. And I will refer this matter to the district attorney's office for criminal review. Do your client understand? Yes, Your Honor, Gaines said. He looked tired. The gavel fell. It was over. Just like that. There was no dramatic speech. No victory lap. Just the dry rustle of papers. The clicking of a briefcase. The sound of the door closing behind me as I left the courthouse for the last time. The money was wired into an account Anya set up. It arrived on the 29th day. Marcus did not contact me. He did not contact Sarah. He simply paid. To make it go away. To avoid the chance of criminal charges. His reputation in his world was likely damaged. But not destroyed. He would continue. Just not with me. The aftermath was quiet. I paid Anya. Her fee was substantial. But fair. I donated a portion of the returned money to a local elder abuse prevention network. In memory of those who don't have a notebook. Or the strength to fight. Sarah came to visit. It was strained at first. We sat in the garden. I showed her the notebook. I showed her the bank statements. I showed her Chen's report. She read them in silence. Tears streamed down her face. I'm so sorry, Mom. I believed him. I thought I was helping. He made you think you were, I said. That was his gift. We rebuilt our relationship. Slowly. With more honesty. She saw Liam's family differently now. Their loud, messy love. Their lack of strategy. She appreciated it. I stayed in my house. I had the grab bars installed. On my terms. I bought a safe, reliable car. With a mechanic I chose. I resumed my library Tuesdays. The routine was the same. But the pleasure was deeper. It was mine. Marcus became a rumor in my life. A shadow that passed over the sun occasionally. I heard he left his firm. He started his own consultancy. I do not know if he succeeded. I do not care. The story could end there. With justice served. With balance restored. But that's not the whole truth. The whole truth is quieter. And more lingering. I sit in my living room now. The same one where he presented his brochure. The light is the same. But the silence is different. It is not the silence of being managed. It is the silence of being alone. Truly alone. With the consequences of seeing a person clearly. A person you have loved your whole life. The victory was in the documents. In the judge's order. In the returned money. But the cost was the story of my family. The narrative I held. Of a clever younger brother. Of a loyal, if distant man. That story is gone. Replaced by a colder, truer one. I do not hate him. Hate would be a connection. It would be a form of caring. I feel nothing for him now. And that is the quietest revenge of all. To become a stranger to someone who thought they knew your soul. I have my house. I have my routine. I have my daughter back. On solid ground. I won. By every measurable metric. I won. So why do I sometimes catch myself, on those library Tuesdays, looking at the driveway? Not with fear. But with a strange, hollow curiosity. Wondering what kind of love starts with a spreadsheet. And ends with a certified mail receipt. And if it was ever love at all. Continuation from previous output. The seasons turned. Fall came. The maple in the front yard blazed red, then gold, then dropped its leaves. I raked them myself. The physical work felt good. My knees ached, but it was a truthful ache. Earned by my own labor. Not an excuse used by someone else. I received a letter from the probate court. A formal notice. The case was closed. All orders were finalized. I filed it in the lockbox. It joined the other documents. The archive of my quiet war. I thought the legal closure would bring peace. And it did, in a way. The constant vigilance eased. The dread of the next phone call faded. But it left a space. An empty room in my mind where the conflict had lived. Now it was just me in that room. With the memory of what had happened. I began to notice smaller scars. Habits formed during the siege. I would double-check my mailbox. Not for tampering, just out of reflex. I would read any document 3 times before signing. Even a coupon. I hesitated before answering the phone. These were small things. They did not cripple me. But they were reminders. The psychological dust from the explosion was still settling. Sarah called more often. We talked about ordinary things. Her job. Liam's new project. The weather in Ireland. She sent pictures of their cottage. She did not mention Marcus. Neither did I. It was an unspoken pact. To build a new family story. Without that character. One afternoon, a FedEx envelope arrived. It was from a law firm. Not Gaines's. A different one. My heart did a familiar, unpleasant lurch. I opened it carefully. It was a copy of a filing. Marcus was suing our mother's estate. Our mother, Ellen, was in her assisted living facility. She was frail. Her mind drifted between decades. But she was alive. He was petitioning to be appointed her conservator. To manage her assets. The filing cited her, advanced age and dementia. It claimed he was the only responsible family member. It mentioned my recent documented instability and litigiousness as a reason to exclude me. He had attached the cover page of Chen's report. Not the findings. Just the title page. To imply it was about my incapacity. It was a clever, vicious move. A secondary attack. Not on me directly. On my standing. On my right to care for my own mother. I felt a cold fury. This was not about money for him now. Not primarily. Our mother had modest savings. The facility was paid for by a long-term care policy. This was about punishment. And control. If he became her guardian, he would be the gatekeeper. I would need his permission to visit. He could shape the narrative of her final years. He could erase me from that, too. I called Anya. She listened. She was quiet for a moment. He's using the system, she said. He's learned from his loss. He's filing in a different county, where the probate judge might not know our case. He's framing you as the problem child. To get what he wants. She paused. We have to respond. Aggressively. We file an objection. We petition for you to be appointed conservator. Or for a neutral third party. We show the court his history. The finding of financial exploitation. Can we do that? I asked. The report is from a related but separate case. We can try. But it will be another fight. Another 6 months, at least. More stress. More cost. Her voice was practical. You need to decide if you have the energy for it, Claire. You've won your own freedom. This is a new battlefield. I looked out the window. At the bare branches of the maple. I thought of my mother. Her soft, confused smile. Her hands like bird bones. She did not know what year it was. But she knew my voice. She called me by my childhood nickname. Claire Bear. She would ask about Arthur. As if he were just at the store. It was a kindness, her confusion. It spared her this. I have the energy, I said. My voice was firm. She is my mother. I will not let him lock me out of her life. I will not let him control her ending. Then we go to war again, Anya said. But this time we strike first. We don't just respond. We file a petition to have him declared unfit to serve as a fiduciary for anyone. Based on the prior court order. We make it about his character. Not yours. The process began again. The paperwork. The affidavits. The strategic meetings. It felt familiar. But heavier. This was not about protecting my assets. It was about protecting a person. A fragile, innocent person. The stakes felt purer. And more painful. I visited my mother. The facility was bright and clean. It smelled of lemon cleaner and cooked vegetables. I found her in the common room. She was watching a game show. Her eyes were vague. I sat beside her. Hi, Mom. She turned. A slow smile dawned. Claire Bear. You've gotten so tall. She patted my hand. Did you feed the cat? We had never had a cat. Yes, Mom. All taken care of. I sat with her for an hour, holding her hand, watching the flashing lights of the television. I felt a profound love for her, and a profound rage at my brother, for trying to weaponize her vulnerability, for trying to turn her into a pawn in our continued conflict. It was the cruelest thing he had done. I met with the director of the facility, a sensible woman named Gloria. I explained the situation. I showed her the court order from my case. I showed her Marcus's new filing. Gloria's expression turned serious. We see this sometimes, she said. Families fighting over control. It's never good for the resident. It creates tension. The staff feels it. She looked at me. Your mother is well cared for. Her bills are paid automatically by the policy. There's a small stipend for personal needs. It's handled by our office. There's really no estate to manage. Just a checking account with a few $1,000s. She sighed. But if someone becomes legal guardian, they can move her. They can change her care. They can restrict visitors. That's the real power they're seeking. I don't want to move her, I said. I just want to visit. To ensure she stays here. Where she's known. Gloria nodded. I can provide an affidavit. About her care. About the stability of her finances. About your regular visits. If that would help. It would, I said. Thank you. The legal filings multiplied. Anya's petition was strong. It presented Marcus as a person who had already been found by a court to have exploited a vulnerable adult. Me. It argued that appointing him over another vulnerable adult would be reckless. We included Gloria's affidavit. We included logs of my visits. We included statements from the nurses, who described me as calm, familiar, and loving. We described Marcus. He had visited 4 times in 2 years. Always briefly. Always with a cell phone in his hand. Marcus's lawyer, the same Robert Gaines, fought back. He argued the prior case was irrelevant. A family dispute. Settled. He argued I was overly emotional about my mother. That I was obsessed with blocking my brother. He filed a motion to have my petition dismissed. He requested sanctions against Anya for a frivolous, malicious filing. The judge in this county was older. A man with a reputation for being conservative. Cautious. He denied the motion to dismiss. He set a hearing. But he warned both sides. This court does not look kindly on family squabbles. I am primarily concerned with the welfare of Ellen Sterling. I will appoint whoever I believe will act in her best interests. Period. The hearing was different. It was in a smaller courtroom. The atmosphere was less formal, but more tense. My mother's well-being was the only subject. It felt sacred, and sordid to be fighting over it. Gaines went first. He presented Marcus as the successful, busy son, who wanted to ensure his mother's standards were maintained. He implied the facility was mediocre. That with his management, she could have better. He suggested I was content with the status quo because it was easy. Because I visited out of guilt, not love. Then Anya stood. She did not talk about love. She talked about facts. She entered the prior court order into evidence. The judge read it. His eyebrows rose. She entered the financial report. She entered the visitation logs. She called Gloria to the stand. Gloria was plain-spoken. Ellen Sterling is content. She is safe. Her needs are met. Her daughter visits every week. She responds to her daughter's voice. Her son visits rarely. When he does, she often doesn't recognize him. He upsets her with loud talking on his phone. Gloria was unshakable. The judge listened closely. Then, to my surprise, Anya called Marcus to the stand. Gaines objected. It was overruled. Marcus took the oath. He looked confident, but there was a tightness around his eyes. Anya's questioning was simple. Mr. Sterling, how many times have you visited your mother in the last year? Several times. I travel extensively for work. Can you name her head nurse? A pause. I don't recall her name. What is her favorite television show? I'm not sure. What is the name of the long-term care policy that pays for her care? My lawyer has those details. Do you know the monthly cost of her care? Roughly. Within $1,000? He hesitated. No. Anya moved on. In the prior case, you were ordered to repay your sister over $87,000. Have you done so? That matter is settled, he said tightly. Yes or no, Mr. Sterling? Yes. And the court found you had financially exploited her. Correct. The matter is closed. The finding stands, does it not? He glared at her. Yes. No further questions. Anya sat. Gaines did a brief redirect, trying to paint Marcus as a busy professional who delegated care. But the damage was done. The judge had seen him. He had heard the gaps in his knowledge, the coldness of his answers. The judge did not rule from the bench. He said he would take it under advisement. We left the courtroom. Marcus walked out ahead of us. He did not look back. 2 weeks later, the ruling came in the mail. The judge appointed a neutral, professional conservator, a person from a bonded agency, to manage my mother's minimal affairs. The order stated that neither child was appointed, due to the demonstrated familial conflict and the prior finding of financial exploitation against the petitioner, Marcus Sterling. It was a loss for him, a clear judicial rebuke. It was not a win for me, exactly, but it was protection for my mother. That was all I had wanted. I was named as the designated visitor, with unrestricted access. The conservator was instructed to consult with me on any care decisions. Marcus was granted visitation, but with a requirement to schedule it through the conservator's office. It was a bureaucratic leash, a small, humiliating one. He never visited again. The conservator told me he never called to schedule. My mother never asked for him. She forgot she had another child. In her mind, it was just her and me, and Arthur, who was at the store. In a strange way, her confusion granted her a peace the rest of us could not have. That second battle ended not with a bang, but with a whimper. A piece of paper that ensured my mother would die in peace, untouched by his ambition. It felt like a deeper victory than the first. It had no dollar amount. It just had dignity. Hers. Life resumed its quiet rhythm. But I was changed. The twin battles had honed me. I was sharper, more aware. I joined a volunteer group. We visited other seniors in facilities. We looked for signs. The quiet control. The financial whispers. I didn't play detective. I just offered friendship. A listening ear. Sometimes that was enough to crack the isolation. To give someone the courage to say, "My son is being too helpful." A year passed. Then two. My life was full in its own way. I read. I gardened. I saw Sarah when she visited. We had a good, honest relationship. She had seen the machinery of manipulation up close. It made her fierce about her own boundaries. She and Liam bought a house. They talked about children. I would be a grandmother. The thought filled me with a bright, clean joy. I thought of Marcus less and less. He became a photograph fading in the sun. A story I had read once. Then one day I saw him. It was at a distance. In the city. I was there for a doctor's appointment. A routine checkup. I was walking back to my car. He was coming out of a tall office building. He was with a younger man. They were laughing. He looked the same. Still handsome. Still wearing a sharp suit. He glanced across the street. His eyes passed over me. There was no recognition. None at all. He got into a waiting car. It drove away. I stood on the sidewalk for a moment. The sun was warm on my face. The traffic noise was loud. I felt nothing. Not anger. Not sadness. Not triumph. Just the observation. That was my brother. A stranger in a suit. Going somewhere I would never know. I drove home. I made tea. I sat in my garden. The geraniums were blooming. A bold red. I watched a bee move from flower to flower. Its work was simple. Direct. It took what it needed. It left something behind. There was no strategy. Only life. That is where the story ends. Not with a dramatic finale. But with a quiet afternoon. With a garden. With the return of simple pleasures. I have my house. I have my memories. I have my daughter. I have my mother's peace. I have the knowledge that I fought. And I fought well. I used the system that was meant to protect. I turned his own weapons against him. Paper against paper. Procedure against procedure. I won by being calmer. By being more factual. By outlasting his patience for the covert war. The revenge was in the restoration. In the revoked power. In the returned money. In the unrestricted access to my mother's bedside. In the silence where his voice used to be. It was a quiet, dignified justice. It left no scars visible to the eye. But here is the final truth. The one I only tell myself in this garden. The victory did not make me whole. It just made me safe. The hole where a brother's love should have been is still there. It is not a bleeding wound. It is a dry, empty space. A room cleaned out after the tenant left. I do not mourn the tenant. But I am aware of the emptiness. Of the echo in that room. I am content. I am even happy in moments. But I am also alone in a way that only people who have been betrayed by family can understand. It is a specific loneliness. It is not about being by yourself. It is about knowing that a fundamental story of your life was a fiction, and having to build a new story alone in middle age, with the pieces that are left. So I tend my garden. I read my books. I visit the library on Tuesdays. I wait to be a grandmother. I live a good, quiet life. It is a life of my own design. No one manages it. No one controls it. That is the reward. That is the quiet victory. And when people ask, as they sometimes do, if I have any family, I say yes. I have a daughter overseas. I had a wonderful husband. I had a mother I loved dearly. I do not mention a brother. He has become a non-person in my history. And perhaps, in the end, that was his greatest fear. To be erased. As he tried to erase me. The sun is lower now. The shadows are long in the garden. The air is growing cool. I will go inside soon. I will make dinner. I will watch the news. I will go to bed. I will sleep without dread. This is my life. One back. Piece by piece. Page by page. Hearings by hearings. It is not a thrilling life. But it is mine. And after everything, that is enough. It is more than enough. I sit here a moment longer. The last of the tea is cold in the cup. The bee is gone. The red geraniums seem to hold the last of the light. And I find myself wondering, not about the past or the battle or the justice, but about the very beginning. Before the spreadsheets. Before the kindness that was not kindness. When we were children. Playing in a yard not unlike this one. He was 4 years younger. He always wanted to follow me. I was always told to watch out for him. I wonder when the shift happened. When the follower decided to become the manager. When the love, if it was ever love, curdled into control. I will never know. And perhaps that is the final, quiet question that remains. Not who he became. But what was he following all along, if not me?